The important ones, the ones that people care about, are A, the residential tax rate, and B, the commercial tax rate. The residential tax rate will increase by 2.9%. I don't think that's unpalatable for everybody, and they understand it. Now, on that 2.9%, that's an average across the board. Most homes will actually be below that 2.9%. Some will be above. It averages out about that 2.9. The other portion that we've implemented this year is a 2% infrastructure tax levy. And what that is to give us infrastructure repair reserves. This is not for new infrastructure projects. This is to maintain our existing infrastructure. The 2% will be going into a special fund that stays there for these infrastructure projects. The problem that we have right now, and we had it last year as well, but it was very tough to be putting this on people last year, and we decided not to. That definitely 2014 wasn't the year to be putting these things into play. We have to do it this year, though, because we have to get going. We can't delay this stuff, because all it does is delay where we're at with our infrastructure reserves. We have nothing in reserves right now. Haven't for quite some time. That's a very, very dangerous position to be in. Having no infrastructure reserves is a very dangerous place for a municipality to be in. It's no different than those of us at home and not having an emergency fund in play if there's loss of job or loss of income on any area. That you need some kind of reserve fund there to have it. You can probably get away with it on your personal thing a few times, but as a municipality, we cannot be doing that. We have to do this. So what we've done is put this in play, and over the next 10 years, we will be able to build this up to about an $8 million account that will be used for infrastructure repairs, so that we're not waiting 2 years for some municipal grant to take care of it that we've got to apply for and hopefully get to take care of a project. So on your residential tax increase will be a 4.9 increase. 2% on the infrastructure levy and 2.9% on the base residential property tax increase. The other thing that we're implementing, and this is going to get us some feedback, I know it is, it doesn't surprise me one bit, but we are moving forward on this because we absolutely have to, and that is our commercial property tax ratio. We are one of four communities that I know of that have a residential and a commercial tax rate as a 1-to-1 ratio. The other ones that are 1-to-1 are Black Diamond, Morinville, and Oyen. We are moving this to a 10% increase. So we're going from a 1-to-1 to a 1-to-1.1. I hope I'm not getting things confusing. The comparison is that our commercial tax rate has been 1.0, same as residential. Other communities around us: Okotoks 1.36, Airdrie 1.85, Cochrane 1.38, the MDF Foothills 2.37, Calgary 2.85, Nanton 1.43, Chestermere 1.41, Strathmore 1.11. The decision has been made in this town over the years that a 1-to-1 ratio is a very attractive thing for commercial business. I can't disagree more, and I think it's been a detriment rather than anything that's helped us. All the communities, these other communities that I've mentioned, this is not a deciding factor at all. We have to create more revenue inside town High River. Yes, you have to manage expenses and everything else, but our revenue stream is just not there either. So we're doing this to 1.1, so a 10% increase. It's proposed to do 10% increases for the next 3 years. That will be monitored as to how we're doing with this and where we're going, and we'll just gauge that one as it comes. But at this point in time, I definitely support the 10% increase for the next 3 years. So taxes, residential going up 4.9%, commercial going up 10%. Getting into our 2015 capital budgets and operating budgets. On the operating budget, the first one, wages and benefits, we have to remain competitive. Everybody understands that with our administration, with the staff, and we value our staff greatly at this time because we have an excellent team inside. And, so we approved a 2.5% cost of living, the COLA adjustment. Most municipalities are up in that 2.9 to just over 3%. So, we talked to our staff, and we all agreed that in the condition of High River, that yes, we have to treat people fairly, but there's also there's a buy-in from everybody with what we're going through. So I thank our staff for agreeing to this. A few items on the actual operating budget that I'll touch on. I went through the capital infrastructure piece with the 2% increase on that. That is so important, which goes into the asset management. And what I mean by asset management, I know I spoke about it in another video, but we've got about $500 million in assets in this town, meaning equipment, roads, sewer, water, all those things. Those are our assets that we own in town High River. We need a better way of managing those assets so that when something needs to be replaced, we're doing it before it's catastrophic failure. So that's what I mean by asset management, and to do that properly. Organizational efficiencies, this is a big one for us. Internally, within our organization, we have to do more with less. That's just the way it is across the board. If you actually do look at the operational budget, you will see that our labor costs, our wages have escalated obviously over the last 2 years to a great degree, from 10 to 16 million. You have to realize that our staff has pretty much doubled over time of the rebuild of the flood. So that's where that comes from. But there's 5 positions within our organizations that are not filled right now. We could fill them, but we are not going to. We're just going to work a little more efficiently with some of the other departments to fill those things, so that we can save some money there. And the people that we have in this organization will have no problem in taking that on. So this all goes to the financial plan and getting High River into a financially stable, sustainable, all the cliche words in the world I could use right now. But we got to quit this wave that communities get into, and it doesn't matter whether you're Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, or High River. You can get into a cycle with municipal government that says, I'm balancing the budget 1 year, so you're not going to take care of any infrastructure so that you can save that money to get the budget balanced. But the problem is the next council has to spend a whole bunch of money on infrastructure and repair the roads because all the residents are freaking out, and so they've got to do that, and then you're back into that cycle. So we've got to get on a little bit better, a much better, more stable ground with this. And I can't stress enough, I've said it before, I'll say it again, we have an absolute rock star as a CFO in this organization with Mr. Tom Meyer. He's been through this many, many times in other municipalities that he's worked with, and he's seen what's worked and seen what hasn't worked, and he has council's full support with taking his guidance, and I know we're in very good hands and doing the right thing. That's about all I'll go through. The operational budget is pretty standard stuff, really. Big one is community funding requests, and these are things like the museum, Shepherd Family Park, Dare Works, Strive Foundation, all these things. I'm going to go through just a few of these highlights, and I'm going to stress on one thing at the end here. Dare Works Society, approved their request of about $4,800. High River Centennial Library, their ask was $324,000. We approved $310,000. Where I'm going with this is, much like internally with the town of High River, all of us in this community have to be on the same page to get us back financially stable and do more with less. So we're just encouraging the library. We didn't want it to make a real big drop in things, but and they're on board. They understand this very clearly and know it has to be done. So thank you for your cooperation. Strive Foundation, that goes to the street hockey tournament, $5,000 we approved. Highwood Memorial Center, $100,000. The Memorial Center, I think, they're telling us they can get themselves on a self-sufficient program in the next few years, and I'm really encouraged to see that and hear that, and that they're working towards that. This year we've approved what they requested of $100,000, and we'll be assessing that next year as to whether, just to see how they're doing. Shepherd Family Park. I'm going to combine Shepherd Family Park and the Museum of the Highwood. Shepherd Family Park, initial ask was $12,000. That's what we've done in the past. There's another component of that they are lacking volunteers so bad that they're having trouble maintaining the facility. So what they asked us to do was give them another $30,000 so that they could have a paid position. Get into that for a second on how I feel about this. Museum of the Highwood, they asked for $174,000. We approved $160,000. Here's why I'm talking about these two. One has management, one needs management. Rather than us funding another manager for Shepherd Family Park, we are working together with the Museum of the Highwood and Shepherd Family Park as to, can the two of them, they're both heritage projects in this town, can the two of them be under one umbrella and do things a little more efficiently with this? And where I'm going with this is these organizations, and I experienced it when I was president of the Handy Bus, is it gets to the point where not enough volunteers are stepping up to the plate. It gets to the point without volunteers that the next thing is head for the town and get them to pay for somebody. We can't do that, folks. And the way this is going to roll is that if we don't get the volunteers to operate some of these things, like Shepherd Family Park, as much as we love it, it might not exist. It's that real, because we can't afford to just constantly be getting paid positions for these community things. I know people are busy, but you'll have a tough time telling me that you're too busy to volunteer a little bit of your time. So I am pleading with people that we got to get involved more. We're all busy, but this is our community, and like I said, if we don't step up, some of these things are going to cease to exist. It's that simple. So I want to thank the Museum of the Highwood and Shepherd Family Park. When we brought this to them, we were a little bit nervous on the reception of it. They're all over it. They get it. They see it, and they're arranging meetings to get this this plan in place so that these things can exist. And Irene and Kerr at the museum, Marianne Deering at Shepherd Family Park, and those are the two that just come to the top of my head. I'm not picking you out specially or anything, but thank you very much for everything that you do, and these things don't exist without people like that. So next one. Highwood High School came to us asking for a couple of donations, funding requests. And one was for the graduation ceremony. The other one was Coach Young looking for money for football equipment, shoulder pads. This one really bothers me. Not because I don't want to fund it, it's because we can't. This is a provincial responsibility. I'm going to encourage MLA Danielle Smith to, in the role that you're in, now with the PC party to start banging the table on some of this education funding, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the high school is having to come to the municipality looking for, in total, $14,000. The graduation, we said no to the $10,000. We already provide, the space at the rec center, and, the park is, anybody can use it, of course, but the rec centers, that's kind of the town's piece in this. The $10,000, there was a comment made during this that they felt they were coming to the town because there isn't any money out there in the corporate world in High River, in the business world in High River. Nobody's going to donate because High River is such a, we're so much in the doldrums that we can't fund some of these things. Completely false. Let me tell you that. The business community in this town is healthy. There are businesses that are willing to donate. You got to go ask for it, and that's just all there is to it. You got to work for it. It's not as easy as coming to the town. The other thing that kind of Coach Young coming, as much as I want to provide safety equipment for football players, sorry Coach, I love it, but we just can't get into this because it's a provincial responsibility, and we need to push on those guys to get their act together with how they fund some of these educational components in this province. The Alberta Cowboy Poetry Association, $5,000. That's a really cool new event that we really like. So, High River Balloon events, of course, everybody knows how special that has become in 2 years. Well done, Mr. Kinghorn. You knocked it out of the park with this thing. It's just absolutely awesome. We got no problem at all. Jamie also, when we spoke to this, he spoke afterwards in saying that part of the balloon event this year will be trying to generate money for the football equipment that Coach Young is looking for. Those are the kinds of things that we need in this community to all support each other. And I can't thank Jamie enough for just having that idea and seeing it as a need and taking care of it. So thank you. High River Handy Bus Transport, we approved $28,000. High River Regional Airport, ask was $12,000. We approved $10,000. So going through from the requests to what we actually approved was a reduction of $44,250. Okay, I'll speak to the capital budget. A few items on that. One thing that I missed talking about, taxes. We all get what taxes are for. They give us things. They provide us things. They provide roads, streets. The toilet flushes, the water turns on. Right on. Pretty important. The other part of this is services that we provide and the quality of services. And I think when people look at taxes and the amount of tax they're paying, the number one thing they're looking at is the value associated with the amount that they're paying. So we're very, very aware of that. And certain things, and this is where it starts in on the capital budget thing. If you remember last year, we really had a nightmare with trying to get our streets swept up and cleaned in the spring. Mainly because we had an old street sweeper that kept breaking down, and I think our street on 8th Street, I think they got it cleaned up, I think it was sometime in August. It's not acceptable, and we all know that. And one of the items on our capital budget summary is fleet replacement, and there's vehicles we have to replace, of course, but it's also a street sweeper on here to the tune of about $250,000. There's a lot of discussion on this. No other budget item touched on anything more than a street sweeper, and it all goes back to, are we providing the best service by purchasing a $250,000 street sweeper? A street sweeper, extremely expensive, takes labor to run it. You have to house it somewhere. The maintenance on it is unbelievable because you kick the snot out of it all spring with sweeping up the gravel and everything. So we've gone back to administration. Administration is looking into it right now as to probably contracting this one out is a little bit better and get a company to come in with whatever, 4, 5, 6 street sweepers, blitz the town 2 weeks, sayonara, we're done. Thank you very much, and we're clean. I really like that, and that's I think we could save a lot of money and provide a better service to our residents. So that's the first one I want to touch on between services with taxes and the capital budget. So the capital budget is $6.2 million this year. $3.5 million of that is for the downtown streetscape improvements. Everybody knows what's going on down there. Another big one, there's a $400,000 touch. This is for our water treatment plant, which is a backwash system. That has to be in the place. That water treatment plant is one of the, if not the most critical piece of infrastructure in this town. That $400,000 will probably be covered by DRP because it is damaged from the flood. So, but it has to be in this budget just so the guys can proceed with getting the repairs done. And when we have the money back from DRP, it'll be put back into the bank. Another big one, $800,000 on a new pumper truck for the fire department. I personally know that the fire department gets criticized quite a bit for the number of fires we have and the amount of equipment we have. People criticize it right up until their house is on fire. This pumper truck is 23 years old and it has to be replaced. This is a safety component for this town, and you know, I look at it the same as our berms and dikes, where we have $100 million of berms and dikes in this town now. People look at them and, you know, maybe if you're from outside of High River, you say it's too much, right up until the water comes. So much like the fire department, this is a safety issue, and it's expensive, but it's expensive to keep our community safe. So fully support getting that pumper truck taken care of. It takes about 1.5 years to get them, so that thing will be about 23 years old by the time it's done. There's the highlights of the budget. It's all online. There'll be more talk about taxes when the actual tax assessments come out. I think it's June that stuff is going to come out now. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me, csnodgrass@highriver.ca. Facebook is wide open for you. We all know that one. And you can phone the town, talk to Tom Meyer, CFO, ask him any questions you got. But we're moving forward, and we're putting High River in a very, very healthy spot. And it takes tough decisions to get us that way, but this council is committed to making damn sure that this town is protected for the future. So thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.